Now, we all know that the Steam store is a bit of a mess right now. Every day, there's hundreds of games released on Steam and it's harder to sort out the good ones from the shit ones. And that might be something to do with the fact that there's been over 700 games released on Steam in the past month alone.
Several weeks ago, Valve announced they would be scrapping the Steam Greenlight system in favour of a simpler program called Steam Direct. Steam Direct gives developers the chance to get their game on Steam for a $100 fee, and once the fee is processed, that's it. No more work is needed and your game is approved. The Direct system was implemented as a way to slow the flood of low quality games hitting the Steam store every day. Under the Greenlight system, there were literally hundreds of shit games being put on Steam because the only thing required was an arbitrary number of community votes. The idea was good in theory, but in practice, this led to developers handing out free copies to people who are willing to vote their game through Greenlight. This meant genuinely good games were being overlooked in favour of shitty games because the developers of said shitty games were promising free goodies and other favours.
When you said promising free goodies and other favours,
Is that what you want? That's going to be a gif, isn't it? Jesus Christ. Roll on the angry lesbian comments.
I couldn't have asked for more, to be honest.
Sorry, Mum.
But in the 7 weeks Steam Direct has been available, over 1,000 games have been released through Steam Direct. According to data gathered by ICO partners, in the past 4 weeks alone there's been 730 games approved by Valve for release. The thing is, Valve anticipated this, and when Direct launched 7 weeks ago, Valve said most likely there will be an initial surge of new submissions and then a new rate somewhat higher than what was coming through Greenlight. But the problem is that most of these games are still the very same type of shitty game which made it through Greenlight. So you have to ask, did Steam Direct solve the curation problem on Steam at all? Or has it created a whole new different set of problems? So just to provide a little bit of background on Steam Greenlight, it was a system introduced that was exploited by a lot of people, like asset flippers, a lot of things that if you're a fan of Jim Sterling, you might have seen him expose in the past. He created a whole series exposing these like cheap asset flip games.
The ones that use store-bought assets and like they just buy these like sprites, these characters, and they just chuck them in their game with a very basic code, and that's it. And you can find hundreds of games with the exact same, they look the same, they even play the same, they've just got a different name. It's kind of just like the App Store where it's just so full of shit. You can't rely on Steam to curate it. There are some good games that have come out of it. Games like Shovel Knight, Undertale, Papers, Please, Black Mesa. They're all from Steam Greenlight, you know, they all got into Steam for that. But for the most part, shit, innit?
Yeah, the problem was that it only needed a certain amount of upvotes from a community to get it through the Steam Greenlight, right? Because they were pitted against other games, and the winner who got most votes got released to the Steam store. So these developers were just giving out free copies of the game and offering other such things, which we won't go into too much detail here. But you can see where the problem was there. So to fix that problem, Steam introduced Steam Direct. What this is going to do is put a barrier to entry now. Developers now have to pay $100 to get their game on the store. That $100 is refundable once they sell $1,000 worth of games. You know, for people who don't have money, who are asset flippers, for example, they won't be able to keep flipping assets unless they sell loads and loads of copies of their game. So, which in theory is supposed to reduce the amount of shitty cash grab games released to the Steam store. Like the amount of dilution in the Steam store is supposed to come down by Steam Direct. So, has Steam Direct solved the issue? I mean, you only have to look at some of the upcoming releases on the Steam store now to answer that question, because it looks like that these games are still shitty.
Can't go on Steam right now, oh I fancy looking at a new game, click on the new releases tab. It's all shite. It's not like GOG.com or something like where they've put the effort in because they've had to type out everything. Yeah, exactly. There's no curation, so you have to curate elsewhere, get your curation from elsewhere. 700 in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
It's like one every 6 hours. Like, who has time for that?
Can't even rely on the user reviews when you think that some of these reviews are generated just by giving out the codes as they were under the Greenlight system.
Might sound like really privileged when I say $100 isn't a lot, but think of it like this. It's the price of 2 AAA games, and the chances that you're listening now and you've bought 2 games this year, that's not that much money for an average person over like 6 months. If you've been working on your game for years, you would have amassed $100. It doesn't seem like a lot of money really, considering that these are supposed to be like developers of a game. But what I will say is, how many games have just come out and Steam have made $100 per game? They're letting as many people in as they want, because as far as they're concerned, if a game doesn't sell at $1,000, they get to keep that $100. So they've made over 100 grand just from this, and it doesn't matter to them, and it shows it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a win-win for them, isn't it? Because they either get $100 or they get a successful game on Steam. Whereas there's people like us still having to dredge through the shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, how is this issue solved? I don't see that this system is working, but that's just me, I guess.
So what is driving all these developers to Steam hoping to find success? Well, it's probably because there are more people using Steam now than ever before. In a presentation by Valve's Tom Giordino, he told the audience at the Casual Connect conference, Steam is gaining on average 1.5 million new users every month. Steam has had 27 million new first-time purchases since January 2016. This meant 27 million new accounts either purchased a premium game or spent money on microtransactions in a free-to-play game. Steam averages around 14 million concurrent daily users, and they've seen a spike in new accounts thanks to the growing PC market in Asia, which accounted for 17% of Steam sales in 2017 so far. Steam counted 67 million monthly users, which is almost as much as PlayStation's 70 million users, and actually puts Steam quite far ahead of Xbox Live, which had a total of 53 million monthly users this July.
PC gaming is on the rise, is it not? Like, what else can you glean from these figures? More accounts are being created on Steam every single month to the tune of 1.5 million new accounts, paying accounts on Steam every single month. That's huge.
Yes. When you break those numbers down into seconds, it's a hell of a lot. And to think that Asia are on board, they love their handheld devices, mobile devices, 3DS and stuff. So it's a massive untapped market there, and I bet Valve and the rest of them all rubbing their hands together because the Asian PC master race will cause so much potential sales for them that it's really exploding. And yeah, you can totally see why these developers are in fact looking to make a quick buck, because it's a gold rush. It's like new ground. It's kind of like YouTube. Anybody can do it, so everybody's trying.
You only have to look at Steam's figures for the last few years to see how big it's becoming. The amount of games released, we covered it recently actually, I think it was 4,000 new games came to the platform last year. The amount of games being generated and put on the Steam platform is growing. The amount of users using Steam to play the games is growing. Like Jake said, it's a bit of a gold rush time right now, and there's just money flowing everywhere. It's going to be interesting to see whether they can get a grasp on all this dilution of the store and get it curated a little bit more, because that's what we need. We need reliable information on these games. When we go to the store, we need to be able to rely on the user reviews and know that they've not been paid off by the developers, for instance. So I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out.
Like, I'm a massive fan of indie games and I love supporting them and love buying them, but I don't even use the Steam page at all because it's just too much of a risk. There's no curation at all, and they get, of course, it's Valve, they get other people to do everything for them. You can get like Total Biscuit's curated list, and you can look at other people's curated list, but they don't do it themselves, and I hate that, and it really puts me off. And a lot of people are in the same boat as me, where they rely on YouTube channels or other websites, or even going on other marketplaces and having a look what's good there, and then maybe comparing it with Steam. It's not a place I go to find stuff, and that's what Steam are really, really failing on. They're not letting people discover great new things because they're too busy just flooding it with shit.
So do you think that Steam have done enough curation with the introduction of this Steam Direct system, or do you think that there's loads more that they can still do? Let us know down in the comments below. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new around here. There's another video for you to watch around about here on your screen. You can support the channel on Patreon if you are awesome, around about there, and we'll see you again in the next video. Until then, bye for now.